We're here with Mid-East Crossfire, the live debate where our guest will be taking shots over whether President Donald Trump should try to roll up his sleeves and impose peace here between Israel and the Palestinians. Trump wants the deal of the century. The Palestinians are dismissing it as the snub of the century, and Israel hoping its best friend in the White House won't pressure it to make painful concessions. So who better to debate this than our two roaring cannons, Yossi Beilin, former Justice Minister and Deputy Foreign Minister and architect of the Oslo Accords, and Yishai Fleisher, spokesman for the Jewish settler community in Hebron. The rules are clear, the gloves are off, and you can take aim at anything. So should Trump, who says he wants to drain the swamp, wade in to the Middle East swamp and try to make peace between Israel and the Palestinians? I'm caught in the crossfire and the debate begins. Dr. Beilin, you have 1 minute. Should Trump try to enter this field, roll up his sleeves and make peace between Israel and the Palestinians?
Of course he should. I mean, he is the head of the free world. You have here a problem which is interrupted, going on and on for 70 years. And almost every American president tried his hands, rightly so. He promised to do that. And he should do that, but not to impose, because you cannot impose peace, as you cannot impose love. There is a limit to imposition.
Yishai, do you believe President Trump should try to wade in here and strike the ultimate deal?
Making a deal is a good thing in general, but nothing to do with land concessions. Look at North Korea. Nobody's asking South Korea to give away tracts of land to North Korea. Nobody would accept that. And I think that Dr. Beilin's general assumption is that President Trump would try to force some kind of land concessions. That we're against. We think that that is a failed policy. Land for peace is a failed policy. The Gaza withdrawal proved it. It proves it every single day, that giving away land to the PA means giving it away to Hamas. And we think that's unjust, and we think that's just going to end up what it has ended up, which is giving forward bases to the jihad in our ancestral homeland.
Dr. Beilin, let's deal with this directly, because the Middle East peace process has been stuck ever since the Oslo process began to unravel. What can Donald Trump do this time to make sure we're not repeating the same failed experiments of the past?
Well, here, this is the big question. Can he suggest something new, or is he going just to repeat the obvious solution, which is there, I would say, since the Clinton parameters? And I believe that, and I hope that his team will come up with a new idea which will have to be a challenge for both sides. For example, the idea of an Israeli-Palestinian confederation, which will deal with security, which will deal with the settlers who would like to remain under the Palestinian state, and with coordination on natural resources and other things. This is something which has not been negotiated, which has been there somewhere hanging in the air. And I think that it is about time.
So just to clarify, do you think that Donald Trump stands a chance if instead of trying the previous format of summits and direct peace talks to the traditional format of two-state solution, he tries to pull a rabbit out of his hat, dramatic new idea, Israeli-Palestinian Confederation?
If it is possible for the team. I don't know whether this is their aim. It is secretive and we don't get any information about it. But I believe that the big deal would be to suggest something which is different a little bit from what has been suggested so far.
Yishai, there we go. We have Dr. Beilin agreeing with you here. He's not talking about the same formulations as the past. We're going to have an Israeli-Palestinian Confederation. You can stay put in Hebron.
I'm very surprised to hear Dr. Beilin speak like this. I would have thought that he, being the architect of the Oslo Accords, would have called for that same type of formula. And I'm surprised and actually pleased to hear him say that basically, in other words, that has failed. Giving away land to the Palestinian Authority is a bad idea. Creation of a Palestinian Authority.
Let's stop here. Dr. Beilin, are you on the record? No, because I don't want him to put words in your mouth. Are you on the record as saying the Oslo process failed?
Well, for sure, it did not bring up the idea, the solution. I mean, it was an interim solution which became a permanent one because of the rightist governments. But here the idea is of two separate sovereign states. There will be a border between us, but a border which will enable us to live together under an umbrella of a confederation. This is
living under the umbrella.
Let me go back to what I was starting to say, which is Dr. Beilin is saying, with a lot of words, a simple thing, which is the two-state solution failed. Now he's got a new formula, and I'm happy that we're at least thinking creatively. You know, Dr. Beilin is one of the people who came up with birthright, and so he's a creative thinker. When it comes to two-state, this was wrong. He was wrong. This whole process was wrong. Ended up killing 1,500 Israelis. Now it's time for something new. So confederation with the Palestinians is one idea. Another one is maybe Jordan is Palestine. Jordan Jordan, really a Palestinian state, 80% Palestinians. Maybe they could give their passports back to the people they took it away from, the Palestinians in 1984. Let them remain in Judea and Samaria. When we become sovereign there, we'll assert sovereignty over Judea and Samaria. And then Jordan will be the place that they vote, that they air out their democratic wishes and wills, but they remain put as residents of the state of Israel. That's just an idea. I wrote an article in New York Times with 5 alternatives.
Let's pause then on that idea. Dr. Beilin, is there any possibility for Donald Trump to make peace on the basis of those guidelines?
Well, there is no chance. I mean, Jordan gave up on the 31st of July, 88 on the West Bank and will never get it back, and they have good reasons for that. You cannot have peace between us and the Palestinians on the account of the Jordanians who do not want it. The question is about not about borders or territory for peace. It is about territory for a Jewish and democratic state. If we are going to be a minority of Jews ruling a majority of Palestinians, it is the end of Zionist democracy. And I don't want to leave to my children and grandchildren such a state.
Yishai, Fleisher, you're hoping that Donald Trump will propose a solution that would mean the end of the Zionist enterprise because we become a minority in a Muslim majority state.
I first think that's not true, and there's a lot of contested facts about how many Jews and Arabs are there respectively.
The trends seem pretty indisputable.
No, that's not true. They are disputed. They are in fact disputed, and some people say there's a
serious grasp of demography.
That's not true what you're saying, and there are serious demographers on the other side. Be that as it may, I'm pretty surprised to hear that there's new ideas coming out of the left. But basically what really is behind these words is let's gerrymander our borders to shrink them so it's just Jews. So in the discussion of giving rights to everybody, what he really means is I want less Israel, a smaller Israel that will just give Jewish and democratic rights.
Just to clarify, are you proposing that Donald Trump put a plan on the agenda which would include a single binational state between the river and the sea in which the Palestinians would all become full citizens of Israel with equal rights? I emphasize that at the end.
That is not what I said. I don't know how you would have gotten that. That's an interesting way to understand.
Well, you suggested that Israel annexed Judea and Samaria.
And with the citizenship of Jordan. Or another option is...
But why should they not be citizens of the government under which they serve? That's the essence of democracy.
Yeah, but this is not just a Jewish and democratic state. It's actually a Jewish ethnic state defending the Jewish minority in a region of 400 million Arabs in 22 Arab countries. So first and foremost, this country is here to defend Jewish people and to live in its ancestral homeland. We are the indigenous people of this land. We have every right here. Yes, there's other minorities, and sadly some of those minorities have jihadist tendencies. We're going to have to figure out a way to do it.
Yishai, Fleisher proposing here that Donald Trump put a plan on the agenda for a single state in which the Palestinians do not become equal citizens of the new state.